Hi everyone, and welcome back to Unicorn Dust Designs. It's Sammy. I am so happy that you're here today. So it is Wood Sign Wednesday, so that is what we are going to do. This video is going to be a little different than usual. I am going to do a lot of educating on how to look for the right piece of wood, how to sand, things like that, and then I'm going to jump in to the actual reversible holiday sign. So if you already feel you're educated, then I will timestamp when that begins down in my description box. So let's get on to it. And here goes. Oh, hey you guys, how's it going? So we are going to start this video off in a different background in my beautiful garage. You guys are welcome. You're so welcome to see our beautiful mess of a garage. But anyways, all right, so I'm bringing you in the garage first because usually we work with a lot of the wood rounds, and those are easy because you don't have to measure them, you don't have to cut them, pretty straightforward. So we're not going to go over cutting today, but I am going to show you a little bit about how to pick out a piece of wood, and then also how measuring works, especially when you're going over to your design studio or your vinyl cutter to make your stencils. Like I said, especially for those of you that do not usually work with regular wood. And when I mean regular, I mean cuts, like a 1x10, a 1x6, things like that. So I'm going to take you over to our workbench and I am going to show you what I'm talking about. So let's go. Whenever you guys are making, when I first started working with wood, I learned the hard way. So you go into Home Depot, Menards, wherever, and you get a 1x6. This is a 1x6 right here. Look at how beautiful she is. A 1x6. This is a 1x10 right here. This is what we're going to be making our sign with. Now, when I first started, I cut, I think this is 45 inches or something like that. I would cut my length, and then I would go over to my design studio and I would, make my box or whatever. So I'm making my stencil and I would put 45 inches long by 10 inches wide because it's a 1x10, right? So then I would start cutting my stencil and I would try putting on my wood, and I'm like, this is way bigger than my wood is. And that is because they are not actually 10 inches long. They're not actually 10 inches wide. They're not 6 inches wide. A 1x12 is not 12 inches wide. So you need to make sure that you're measuring your wood, because even though it says 1x6, it is not. They are usually, actually, a 1x6 is actually 1 by 5.25, okay? So I'm going to take this here so you can see. And if you measure across, do you see that? See, this is not 1x6. Sorry, that's upside down. But you catch my drift. This is not a 1x6 piece of wood. And sometimes it's even 5.5, 5.25. This one's a little bit bigger. So you have to measure. That way you're cutting your stencil out in the right width. Because if we would cut our stencil and we were using letters like we are for this sign, then your letters would go over the width of your piece of wood because your stencil would be way too big for it. So you need to make sure you are measuring your wood out before you go to your design studio and start chipping away at your design. So our 1x10 right here, 1x10, do you see that? It's not actually 10 inches, that would be 10 inches. Okay, so I wanted to make you guys aware of that, just so, this is like the weirdest way of recording, but just so you guys know beforehand, before you're going in your design studio, not to measure the width out by the 10 inches that it says it is. And that is usually all pieces of wood. So A 1 by 12 is 1 by 11.25 on your design studio. A 1 by 10 is actually 9.25. 1 by 8, 7.25. A 1 by 6 is actually 5.25. So thought that might be something that some of you may not know, especially if you do not work with slabs of wood all the time. Now, you guys can get pieces of wood. If you don't have a miter saw, if you don't have anything to cut wood with, but you want to make one of these signs, you can simply go to your hardware store. You can tell them what size of wood you want, and they will cut it there for you. Okay, so some things though to look for, and I've learned this the hard way too, because I have tons of random pieces of wood that I can't really use. I mean, you can, and right now we have to use them because there is a wood shortage. So we are working with what we got. But whenever you go to look for your piece of wood, there's a couple things to look for. One, and I don't care, I will do this on the floor. I don't care who's watching. So set it to the side. Look, you could already tell this one is warped. Let me see. My camera like straight on. Sorry guys, trying to get that. There we go. So I would get this on the floor if I was looking, and I would make sure to look down, make sure that it's not warped. See, like from right here, this looks, I'm closing one eye over here. Can you see me? Closing one eye. It actually doesn't look that bad, but then look at, see when we set that down, do you see how it's warped right there? See that gap? So it's bent a little bit, which you can still use, and it's still perfectly fine. I still use these for like frame signs and stuff. You're just gonna have to maneuver it because it's not sitting like, see this one right here. See that? See how that's sitting flush? It's not bent. It's not that. You can totally tell there's a gap right there. Okay, so I would set it on the floor. If you're at the store, look at it this way to see if it's gaps. Stand it on its side to see if it's warped. I am actually, let me see, I know I have a piece like that one. Awesome, perfectly straight. Give me a second. I'm gonna find you a nice warped piece that of course I picked up. Let me see. What? Walking around this dang garage. Like this one. Of course I grabbed the biggest one, right? Ah. Okay, let's put this right here. Look at that baby. Do you see? Like there is so many wrongs with this. Do you see that? That's straight, you guys. That's straight on our workbench. Like that is how warped this piece of wood is. So to be honest, like if you had bought something like this, I would probably have to take off. This is a very informative one. Probably like 20 inches off this side because this is crooked. There's no way this could hang on somebody's wall and sit flush with the wall. I could probably use the middle part of this, and then I'd have to chop all of the end off because this is just, look at that. You see what I'm talking about, you guys? And this right here is how you waste your money. Don't make the same mistakes I have. I always look at a piece of wood and I'm like, oh, this is so pretty. This is gonna stain well. Well, I learned the hard way once getting home and you go to cut something and it looks like this, that like, this isn't gonna sit flush with somebody's wall if they purchased it. Now, like about this much of it is probably good. So that is why you need to hold it to the side, set it down. Oh my gosh, that is so bad. That is so bad. I also like our one hardware store, Menards. Their stuff is on like a second story, and it has like a guardrail up, and I will put them on the guardrail to see if they go straight across the guardrail or if they're like bending. So those are things that you need to look out for when purchasing your wood. Another thing, guys, I'm talking while I'm moving, so just hang in there with me. Let me see, I want to show you. Okay. Okay, here's another thing. You need to make sure, see this huge crack right here? Now before, I would never use this. And you guys, you know what I do with wood? I don't know if you guys have seen my business page, but I create beach scenes out of pieces of wood like this, and they are so beautiful. If you guys ever want to see that, let me know. I will do a video. So before, actually, you guys, beforehand, okay, if you don't have this, make sure you're looking, because if you don't have like the right product or something, this would be a waste of wood for you, because it has a huge crack. It has holes like where the branches were. I think this side, see how like rough this side is? It has a crack right here. Those are things that you need to take notice of too, because again, this, like, we cut wood off of this side and this side so that we'd still be able to use it. But as it stands right here, I used to not be able to do anything with this, but I'm actually going to try and show you today. There's a company, it's called STARBOND. I had never heard of this before, and you guys, I have so many pieces of wood chopped up on the bottom, well, I'll show you guys later, that I haven't used because I can't make signs with these gaps and stuff in them. So I had seen, and I swear the internet is so creepy, I had seen an ad for this on my Facebook page, and it basically, I'm going to show you guys later, but like fills all of these cracks, and then it hardens like a super glue, but it's like for wood, and then you just sand it over, smooth it, and then you could paint over it. Hello, genius. I have so many pieces of wood like this that like we've just chopped off different sections so that like, since we couldn't use this, and I'm so stoked to try this stuff to see how it works, and that would just save a lot of money, because there are many gorgeous pieces of wood like this, like the one we're going to use today, you guys. I'm going to show, I mean, they're not bad, but like we're going to use this 1x10, and I don't know if you could see, like that's totally a hole, like I could fit my whole nail in there. But you know what, your girl's got to work with what she got, because wood is getting more expensive, it's getting hard to come by, and this one has a couple of knots in there that when you paint over knots, you're going to have bleeds, because if your stencil is going over that and you're trying to paint, it's going to go right into those little grooves, and you're going to have bleeds everywhere. Okay, so I'm actually going to try that out on this board today. We'll both see how it works. I've never used it before. I didn't play around with it, so first time for everything. And it comes in like a dries jet black, light brown, which I don't think really matters if you're painting over it. I guess we'll see, right? And then dries dark brown. So I'm super excited to see this. You know those infomercials you see on Facebook and you're like, oh, what? Like that's your reaction I got out of it. So we'll see how this works. I'll leave a link down in my description box. And anyways, there will be a link. There will be a coupon code for you guys down below. And all right, let's get into this project. So what are we gonna do first? Oh, this one is so beautiful. It's gonna be a very informative one, okay? Because I feel like my wood slime videos are getting pretty repetitive. So you guys, if you have ideas for other wood sign videos, let me know, because I don't want to bore you guys by doing the same thing every week. So I have this sander, which I got. Both of these are Skill sanders, and this one is more for like detailed work, like getting into edges, more so like I've used this on furniture a lot. This one, which is the orbital sander, I feel like is way faster, covers more of your wood, and I prefer it more than this one, definitely. So this one's more for like detailed work, and this one I like on my larger projects. So just so you know, you don't have to use a new piece of sandpaper every single time that you are working on a project. I will reuse until there ain't nothing left of the sandpaper, and we are gonna go ahead and sand this. I'm starting with 80 grit. You don't have to use 80 grit. You can use, sorry, I know this is weird because my face isn't in the video. You don't have to start with 80 grit. You just need a lower grit that's rougher to get all of your dirt, your debris, all of like the little splinters off of your edge. And then also for this, like, let me show you guys. If you are sanding these, even with your like wood rounds, you guys, I don't know, can you see like that texture right there that's on them, and it like goes down to around all the knots? Now that you can smooth that out, and how you do that is by getting up on the side of your sander and going a little harder in there, and then just go back over to smooth them out. Okay, so we're going to start with an 80 grit, then I'm going to move to a 220, which is super fine, and it makes your wood feel like butter. So let's go ahead and get that going. Okay, maybe I need to plug everything in first. Very helpful. All right, you guys, so this is the STARBOND, and that is the gap filler. This is the accelerator. Now this stuff, you guys, this is my first time using it, and it almost looks like a super thick, like crazy glue is what I can compare it to. And you put it in the gaps of like your pieces of wood. So like right here, this was a big one. Like I could fit my fingernail in there, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to paint over this, or it would have just bled everywhere. So I probably, actually this wood was set aside because it had so many knots in it. So you put it on, then you spray this accelerator on there, and it dries the glue, the gap filler, within seconds, you guys. Seconds. It's done. It's dry. Now the one on the right, I don't know if I put a little too much, because you can kind of see it kind of like bubbled out just a little bit, which was no big deal. I just ended up getting a little thing and wiping it and then spraying a little bit more of the accelerator on, and it was perfect. And they have like a wood crack filler. I mean, they have so many things, and this was just awesome. There are so many pieces of scrap wood that I can now, well, they're not scraps anymore because now I could actually use them with this stuff. So after that, you do have to sand over it. And that's because, you know, there might be ridges or whatever. So you want to even it out. And then I ended up using it on a couple more of the knots. I didn't do all of it because I was way too lazy. I mean, this thing was covered in knots. But it was awesome. So you guys, we're going to use 2 different stains, Golden Pecan, Antique White. Now, I want you guys to know, when you're dealing with like Antique White, Vintage Aqua, Barn Red, and stains, they have a different consistency. They are super thick stains. They don't absorb into the wood like a regular stain would. So you have to spend a little bit more time with them, and you have to make sure that it doesn't streak. So that's why I have to keep on going over the same spot, because it kind of leaves streaks on there. So just make sure that you're careful. So as you can see the difference, like look at how quickly this absorbs into my wood, how quickly I'm moving along, you know, the staining process, because this doesn't streak. It's absorbing right into my wood. It's a fast process. So keep that in mind when you are using different types and different colors of stain. So I don't do the sides because we're going to cover that up with paint. So don't even worry about that. Then I'm going to prop this up on its side so that it can dry on both sides of the wood. Now, y'all, we are going to cut our vinyl, and I totally rigged this myself. This is like a Cricut mat and like an off-name mat, and I got painter's tape and just taped it together in the middle. And you do have to play around with the placement of your vinyl, okay? So this isn't, when you feed it into your machine, it doesn't really like cut on the same places, if that makes sense. I don't know, but you have to play around with it. I am ashamed to say that I lost a lot of vinyl because I had made this when I had my Cameo 2, and it didn't feed into the Cameo 4 like it did my Cameo 2. So I ended up wasting a lot of vinyl. So make sure you play around with it before you feed your entire amount in there. And I know that the Cameo 4, you could go matless, but I still have not figured it out. And I know I have my new Cricut machine as well, but I tried YouTubing everything to see if you can cut bigger than 24 inches. And everything I was finding was basically saying no, or you have to cut everything in like the 12-inch mats if you want it longer. So if you know a way around that, let me know in the comments too, because I couldn't find anything. So we are finishing this up. It cut so easy for me, and now we are just weeding everything out. We're leaving our letters down because we are using the letters as our stencil, okay? So we're weeding out the main part of this, and then I am going to cover it with transfer tape, which I don't show. And then I'm over here on the ground, the hairiest freaking ground in the whole house. I don't know why I chose to do it here. And then I'm going to, I used my clear transfer tape for this one because I really wanted to be able to see my letters and my placement. Now I left the bottom of this super straight. That way I can just line it up with the bottom of my piece of wood. And all I really had to do was focus on like the sides of the letters and make sure that they were, you know, spaced appropriately, and it fit perfectly. It went on so easy. I was super happy with it. And I am using Oracle 651 permanent vinyl. I like using permanent vinyl because I think it adheres better to the stained wood, causes less bleeds, and yeah, that's what I use when I'm applying stencils directly on stained wood. So when you're peeling your vinyl back, you guys, I say it all the time, go slow, okay? Super slow, because then things like this happen. I pulled the little loop of the G up, And then I had to get my weeding tool, and then I had to try and lift it up, place it back down, wanted it to sit flat. Hello, you guys. My name is Sammy. I have been a victim of cellulite, but that's okay because I've had 2 kids and I'm 34, and, you know, I'm just rocking it at this point. You know, I'm owning it. So take the rest of that transfer paper up, and then we are going to do the same exact thing on the opposite side, but I did not film that. That would be super boring, and this video is already long enough. Okay, so make sure all the debris is off, any dog hair, which is always on here. I'm using the charcoal Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and I'm going to apply this with my roller just like I do my wood signs. Now, you guys don't have to have a roller. You could use a chippy brush. You could use a synthetic brush. I mean, you do you, okay? It does not have to be exactly how I am doing it. If you want a more rustic look, I definitely suggest going with a chippy brush and then sanding it down. I am going to be doing 2 coats on this. I mean, it covers pretty well, but I definitely wanted it darker on here. So when you guys do the sides, make sure you're not pressing hard with your sponge or your paintbrush, because you do not want that dripping onto the side that you have not painted yet. That just causes a huge mess, okay? So be patient. Take your time. It is worth it to take your time, because then you're just going to have double the work. So to speed up this drying process, I am using the cool setting on my blow dryer, which means it is blowing out cold air. And I do not use the warm setting because I don't want to heat up that vinyl. When you heat up vinyl, gets that adhesive stickier, and we do not want it hard to come off when we are ready to weed our stencil off of our wood. So then I'm going in coat number 2 and doing the same thing, rolling it. I'll also get the sides, and then you guys, after this is dry, which I use the blow dryer, then I move on to the other side, okay? So this is already late, but I knew you can't just leave your stencil on here like overnight. It's permanent vinyl. If you did that, it would be harder to get off of your board. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm going down in my pajamas because I'm way too lazy to change. So I'm weeding this. I highly suggest, if you don't want to gouge your wood, which I used to do all the time, get a super sharp weeding tool. This one is my Cricut weeding tool that I've literally had forever. And it is so sharp at the end that all I have to do is put just a little bit of that weeding tool under the vinyl, and it brings it up for me. So you guys do the same thing for the opposite side. And I need a drink of water because I'm going to cough. Can you hear my children running? Dad is home. All right. So let's go ahead, weed this side off, and then we are going to take it outside, and we are going to just dress it a little. So getting our orbital sander, we are going to do the edges. This is super easy, you guys. I'm not going to run it over the entire sign. I'm just doing the edges just to give it a little bit more detail, a little bit more zhuzh, you know. I'm going to do that with the front, and I'm going to do that with the back. Now, if you wanted a more distressed look, you get that sander and you could put it over the entire thing, the letters, everything, and just sand until you get your desired look. But that's all I wanted to do. So let's bring it back into the house, and we are going to clear it with some Helmsman. Now, I do 2 coats on this because for us, we don't have an overhang on our porch, so I know that this sign is going to be directly in the elements, and it snows here, it's hot here. So I did 2 coats of Helmsman on this one, and all I do in between coats is I dry it on the cool setting so that I could speed up my process. You don't have to do this. You could just wait for it to dry naturally and then come back and do your second coat. Sorry, my kids are being so loud. I really want to try the spray version of the Helmsman. I think that would be so nice, because with this clear, you have to wait 24 hours after painting your chalk paint, or else it will just smear the entire thing. So I feel like the spray will I mean, you don't have to wait 24 hours, but I feel like it would just be more expensive to keep buying the spray versus an entire like can of the Helmsman, if that makes sense. So after doing 2 coats, we did it on both sides. Make sure you guys, when you're doing this, you get your sides very good. Don't leave anything dripping off your sides, because just like the wood rounds, if you let those drips there, they will dry like a cloudy, you know, white color, and we don't want that. So make sure you check your sides before you start drying your sign or leave it to dry, okay? So we're all done with that, you guys. How easy was that? Now I'm taking twine, and I chose to hot glue it to the side. You can probably staple it, but I just felt like the staple, when you're done and like you're stapling the end to the side, that it would show. So I went against it. I used hot glue, but you can definitely use whatever you'd like. You could even use like really cute, those decorative nails. I think they're called grommets. And those are super cute too. But just wrap it around as much as you want to get the desired look you want. And now I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to show you guys how we're going to decorate it. All right, you guys, so we're outside and look at how cute. This is just a pick from the Dollar Tree that I put in there. And like, you could even just glue a clip to the back of this if you didn't want to actually like have the stem showing, and I just kind of threw it in there. But like, look at how cute. Don't mind my like front porch, okay? All right, look at how cute. Look at how good that STARBOND filled in that crack, and like no bleeding. I love the distressed edges. I like that we went with the white stain. And then look, here's another option. All right, bear with me here, bear with me. So this is a Dollar Tree ornament, right? I just put a little clip on the back of that. So we're gonna take her out right there. And then we will just, let me see if I could do this one-handed. Probably not, so hold on. Okay, not the greatest positioning, but I mean, you catch my drift, right? Right, so you can change it up. You can do whatever you'd like with it. I wonder if that would even just kind of, nah, you'd have to secure it down. But like, if I clipped it on right, like that would look cute too. Super cute. Be right back for fall version. All right, you guys, we are back with fall side. And look it, I love the stain color for the fall. I just wanted to change it up a little bit and not make it too overwhelming, because I wanted this to be a super easy, I think they're called porch sitters. But look, I put 2 picks in here from the Dollar Tree. One right there. Like I said, you can cut these down shorter. You can put them on little clips like this one I have like going on the back, but I'm just using these for examples. But like, look at how cute that is. And you can seriously change this up. And what's nice about this, you guys, you can do this same thing for like a welcome sign or home sweet home, and then put that twine up there, and people can change up their own decor by season. So I think this came out really great. I hope you guys learned a ton of stuff from this video. And if you are still here, make sure you give me some more ideas of what you guys want to see wood sign wise, because I'm having a hard time coming up with things, because I don't want to be so repetitive and show you guys the same thing over and over and over again. So just let me know what you'd like to see. I hope you guys have a good one, and make sure you set your calendar for next Wednesday, because that is the live Q&A, 8 p.m. Central Time. Bye.